Oops, I forgot my iPad again. That's okay. We have a couple minutes to get started. Let's see here. Get my iPad up here so you can see me. How you guys doing today? I don't know if anybody's here with us yet or if there's going to be anybody, but that's okay. This is very new to me. So let's see. Me, I'm still getting onto my channel here. Live. This is very new to me. All right, let's scoot over a touch. Now, we've got our background layer, our foundation's what I should say, and our painting is all mapped out. I've got a little bit of the brush in there. I think today I want to work on here and maybe darkening up back here a little bit. Let's see. Let's start with back in the back. I'm just going to get a angled flat brush here. Make sure it's good and wet. I want to wet this background. I do not want to get my owl wet. It's the beauty of watercolor. It will stay where the water is. So let's keep our owl dry. Let's see here. Everybody doing their Christmas shopping? I know December's a very busy time for everyone. Okay. We are good and wet. I want to drop in, I think I'm going to go with some ultramarine. No, that's not my ultramarine. Get this straight. There's my ultramarine. I think anyway. I have a little thing set aside because I forget where I put what. Even though they stay in the same place. But that's okay. Let's see here. I just basically want to add dark here. Let it seep on up there a little bit. Let the water do its thing. Okay. I have a little shake in my hand. That's all right. Watercolor's fairly forgiving. Let's see. I want to keep this out a little lower. There we go. Let me get. I just want the idea of some darker looking little hills here. Make sure I got plenty of water on this brush. Well, this will kind of fan out. There we go. I don't want to wear. All right, let's add a little bit. Vary our blues up a little here on the base. This is a hill back here. I want to make sure. I think this is an Anethrin I use for those who are new to this. I use Winsor & Newton Professional Watercolors in this palette. And I have another palette that's Holbein. And I use pretty much the same range of colors in both. And my reason for that is I like to mix my own colors to match my paintings. Now, I'm not a specialist or anything in color mixing. I just do it intuitively. Okay, this is looking nice here. Let's do that right in here a little. Anyhow, I just grab, I have a limited palette, at least that's what I call it, of blues, reds, and yellows, ranging in the cools and the darks. I mean, cools and the warms. The thing I like about this brush is I can use the tip or I can use the flat. Okay, I'm hoping that will give us the illusion of some depth in the background there. And then I'm gonna come over here. I don't remember what this one is. It might be cobalt, it might not be. I do know I want to keep it very faint. And I want to add the illusion of a few hills further in the distance back up here. I'll let that just kind of seep together there. Make sure my water hadn't dried too much. Okay, that's pretty much what I'm gonna do with that for now. As it dries, I'll try to make sure it doesn't bloom, especially like right here where it's dipped. I want it to flare, but not blossom. Does that make sense? There we go. He's outlined nicely. Now we won't do the owl right now because adding wet next to wet and watercolor will make it all rush together and make a nice muddy mess. So I'm going to move on to my lower part of the painting here. There's definitely a lot I could do in the background there, but I think I'm going to work on these guys, the fence posts. I think that's what they are, fence posts. There's something left behind. If you're looking for the image to paint, I can't show you the reference photo because it is part of the copyright regulations for the Facebook group Free Reference Photos for Artists. I have the link in the description if you expand the description down into this live video. And I also have the name of the photographer, so you can either search in the group for the photographer and come up with the short-eared owl image, or you can just search short-eared owl, or you can just go and paint any of the owls on there you want. Let's see. Do I want this? Yes, no, maybe, nope. I think I want this one. This is just a cheap, small rigger. I actually prefer my Princeton, but I have damaged the end of this one somehow. So I tend to use that for like stray grass and branches and things like that now. After Christmas, I think I'm going to invest in a few more Princeton Aqua Elite brushes. I like the way they perform. Okay, this kind of is blue-gray, and then it goes into kind of a green-gray, brown, and a brown, the way the shadows and the light works on these. So I think first I want to create the depth, 3D depth in the top. So let's come in here. Now what this is the inner sections here of the top of this post. You want to make sure and remember, I'm just kind of drawing these in. You kind of want to remember your perspective here. So we shouldn't go down too low here, but yes, and I may have gone a little too low, but we can rectify that later. Now, right in here is a little 3D, but there's sun. And this will come out a little grayer when I'm done. I want to keep the dark on this side. And I'm using sepia at the moment to kind of map these out because it'll blend in nicely at the end with the colors I'm going with. Sometimes I mix on my palette, sometimes I mix on the paper. Okay, now you see how the side of this rigger creates a nice wood texture when you just kind of brush it around. And that's what I'm going for. There we go. It does not need to be exact to the image in the reference photo. We're wanting the illusion of detail anyway, not the exact. Every detail implied. Okay, let me get a little darker up in here. Okay, I'm going to pick up some of my black. Now for my black, I just mixed, I think it was Scarlet Lake. I'd change them up. Scarlet Lake, Indonesian, and Sepia was this one, or it could have been Burnt Sienna, I'm not sure. I'm just going to create a little depth there. Just pretend kind of we're looking down. Over here, whoops, I left my printer on. Sorry about that, guys, if you hear it in the background. Okay, I want to make sure I preserve enough of the white here that you can tell that this is a side when we get finished. Okay, I'm going to go in here and be careful not to touch up there because that's wet. Create my 3D definition. This is just the one layer. We will come back. It's one thing it's beautiful about watercolor. It blends as you go and creates the image as you go. It starts out as a pencil drawing or a white sheet of paper. Let's go back to sepia and go to the next one. And then it ends up layer after layer going through an ugly, very ugly duckling stage. So you have to have the finished image in mind so that you can see it, a visual in your head. And you can see it in your head so that layer by layer it builds up to that image. And I've discovered about 75% of the way through the painting, through the layers, you'll start seeing a painting and get this sense of, yes, it's going in the right direction. This is going to look good. But we are definitely not to that point yet. Okay, I'm using a mixture of my black mixture and sepia here just to kind of bring out the hints of a wood fence in the shadows. I'm just drawing it in, looking at my reference image. Now you can do this plein air if you'd like. Plein air, I don't remember how to pronounce that. Or you can use a reference photo. I recommend learning both. You'd be surprised how observing and painting from life will enhance your artwork. Okay, this next one has less gray and darkness to it and more. I think I'm going to switch over here. Whoops, get that out of there because that will muck up my, I'll do that later for this side. I don't want the white gouache seeping into my, normally I don't fill it that full, but I was at the end of the tube. Okay, now if I look, we kind of have this, see how the side of this rigger just naturally creates wood look. But I want to make sure it's not this bright. This is just an under part of the painting. Let's go back over here a little bit. Go back to my sepia now. Whoops. Make sure I know my edge. Now, edges in the nature are not straight. So if you're drawing a straight line, it's going to turn out looking a little cartoonish. So you kind of want to keep it. Let's see. I need to find that up there. Notice I didn't just do a straight line. You need to be careful doing that against your snow here. Now the back side of this, our sun is coming kind of from this way. See how that's not straight? Wood is not straight. Okay. Now when we look at the image, I want to look at this. My focus is going to be here. And even though my focus is not here, they are on the same plane. So they will have quite a bit of detail, or implied detail, to go with my owl to show that they, technically these two are on the same plane. This one's a little back and this one's a little back. But they will be kind of the same sharpness, but I will have the most sharpness right in this area here, so that that's where the eye goes. And that's where, as artists who paint, we can take liberties that the photographer couldn't get in the photo. Now they can go in and edit it as such, but in the natural, we can draw the eye a little better. I have some oopsies here that I would like to. I will eventually just work those in. Oopsies are okay. They are fairly forgiving in watercolor. Make sure there's nothing on that brush. And yes, they are easy to maneuver in to your painting if you do have some that you can't get out of there. Okay, especially in a natural setting like this, because imperfection is what's going to make this painting perfect. I know that sounds odd, but it's true. Nature is imperfect. Okay, this one here is a little bit different texture to it, or design, I should say, to it, because it looks like it was broken off a little different than the others. Now, I'm going over my line a little bit because I want the edge of my painting to seem natural. If you tape it off, you just paint tat over on the tape. I did not tape this painting off. Okay, let me get just a little more here. Just speckle it in, kind of create a broken look. Now I'll use some darker color in there eventually to give that 3D effect. Okay, I want that to go, there we go. And I want a little more, there we go. Okay. I'm gonna go back. How long have we been on here? 18 minutes? Try to go about 20-25 minutes. So we'll paint a little bit. What would I like to do? That's still too wet to do any background. Let's get a little bit of our grass in. How's that? Now this is just scribbled in. I do want to pay attention to lights and darks to create a roundness out of this little brush pile popping out of the snow here. Keep in mind our sun is coming from that way. Okay, that's a little over here. Now technically in the original painting or image, you don't have this lighter brown, but it is in our short-eared owl, so I would like to speckle it a little throughout my painting. I'll use it in the brush too as it goes around, maybe even in here. Okay, we have brush coming up out of there that I'm not ready for. And let's do a little cleanup up here. That's just a little more frayed looking than I wanted. Let's clean it up. There we go, it looks better. All right, and over here I want to clean up a little. See how that just cleans up with some water. And this is a very hazy background, so no detail in this area. Alrighty. I'm gonna pull in a little bit out here. You can see the hills starting to form. One thing you don't want with this background, especially with snow and things, is detail. And since my foreground is dark, I want my background, even though it has dark in it, to actually end up lighter than the blues and the browns in the foreground. And that will push it back. And that'll bring my foreground up. Okay, it's been about 21 minutes. I'm going to let all this dry. I might be back this afternoon. Keep an eye on my YouTube stories. I'll post there if I am, what time I'll be back. If I do, it'll probably be around 1, 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, because I'm painting from Omaha, Nebraska right now. So let all this dry, and I'll see you then. Have a good day.